Welcome everyone, it's Vapor Strickamar. It's time for some more Raid Shadow Legends. In the last episode, I was showing the climb up Doom Tower. I was doing more of that last night, but I then didn't realize that I wasn't recording it. But it's on my recording it on stream. It is on my YouTube channel if you guys want to see that, which I highly recommend doing, and I also highly recommend subscribing to my YouTube channel because it needs more subs. It's at 154, but I would obviously want more because I need 1,000 to get, monetized or recognized by YouTube. And I'm still hunting for that. One thing that's kind of annoying about this team is they do kind of focus him because the Mordecai, because he is of the affinity that attracts the spiderlings. Heartseekers help speed this up, but there are other methods. Because there's the thing, not all the teams work the same for the spider. I also have a Deacon spider team. A lot of this does fall apart around a very specific spider that I'm going to try to be exterminating. I mean, I have an idea that might work, but I can't be sure. The idea involves using double revive, ally protect around Mordecai and Drexthar. The main purpose of him is to get these AoE burns. The AoE burns really get the spider going. AoE burns and max enemy HP is the best way of killing a spider. Now, here things start to get a lot spicier. That's where I shove Demetha into the equation. I may end up having to do that for the other spider as well. Getting these burns out is kind of essential to making this work. There is a Deacon team that I was using, but it has limits. I'm trying to use non-Deacon teams. I did need Deacon to get past the lower end of Spider. He's kind of a Deacon substitute in a way, but has an additional burn. Like, he has turn meter drop, but he also has AoE burns, which makes him incredibly... Like, you can just use Drexthar, but for higher spider, you generally want more damage. damage equals burns, so generally speaking, that means you as I want to start with all the spiders I could beat before we move on to the spider that I can't beat. So I'm going to be trying an all-new strategy versus the spider I can't beat. Involving Demetha. This team, I think, will adapt better. Because, yeah, we get this burn. Because here's the thing. Each burn does a certain amount of its health. All this other stuff in the back is just there to keep the burn champs alive. I'm trying to make a team that works on more affinities and more types of spider than anywhere else. On my account, anyway. Like, I know a man-eater would make this like a joke, but we don't have a man-eater, so I've got to make do. Because if I had a man-eater with a Mordecai, and that, I'd have no reason not to just go straight to Spider 20. Because the unkillable buff would ensure that the spider would not be able to go anywhere. Demetha can be used, but she's a little trickier. She's a little trickier. Trying to get as much burns out there as possible, because often whenever you're fighting this spider, or spiders in general, you want to have a lot of burns out on the field. Because each burn at this point does a certain amount of damage to the spider. And that is exactly what you want. Because as long as these burns stay intact, the spider, generally speaking. Now, the reason I'm also doing this is because I do still need artifacts. I still need artifacts to keep it burning. Because you wanna keep the spider on fire almost at all times. There is a deacon setup I use, but I usually use it for the lower end. Mordecai is better for the higher end because he gets burns on everyone really fast, which in general is what you need for higher spider. They're going to keep going up. Get a bunch of burns up. Even if he sneezes, it'll still not really stop us. As long as there's enough time to get those burns to proc, you can bet your bottom dollar that it'll burn to death. See what I mean? Each burn does its duty. I mean, enemy axe HP does work, but then it's harder and harder to keep it alive. And it doesn't give as universal damage as the tried and true burn champs. Granted, it having any form of turn, which is why I probably need to help out Visix on this account as well, because Visix can kind of control the spider while being tanky. Because you generally want that. Because as you saw, you generally don't want it to have a turn. I mean, Mordecai covers some of the turn meter requirement, but you really don't want it to have a turn at all. I'm doing spider anyway because it's in my interest to do spider. Trying to think. What do I want to do in terms of raising champs? So I always want to think about that. As you can see, as you go up, the spider gets harder. And falls for less tricks. It also has generally a higher gear requirement. Which is why I'm struggling to try to get to Spider 20. Because Spider 20 usually has a very consistent gear requirement. It's trying to cleanse itself of the burns. Because it knows that if it keeps the burns, it's going to be in a world of hurt. The burning lash in there. I mean, you can just use a solo Drexthar setup, but if you have Mordecai or someone like him, use him. Because he really does a number on this boss. And you want to get him to 60 so he can go as high as you can with Spider. So right now we've got the burns in a specific way. So as to get the spider in trouble. He does have a very large heal, though, if he gets it off. So you generally do not want him to do that. You don't want the spider to do that. It's bad. Yep. It's that time of year again. Now I do have another spider team, but it's not as good. Evolving Direct Star. And my Spurred Spider team is really bad because I don't have a burn. You need burns in order to really terminate this spider. The spider is a late game boss like Fire Knight. Gonna be real with you. It's a late game boss. Now, we can get the burns up. Just let those burns go through. Yep. Now, stage 15 will do as well. Then stage 16, stage 17. Whereas stones throw away from this. Now I'm going to attempt it with this Demetha team, and we'll see what we can do. Now, remember what I said about this boss. This boss at the higher levels is a real pain in the butt. Like a genuine pain in the butt. Getting the rhythm for it is almost as bad. Because number one, getting the burns on him becomes nigh impossible as we start to climb towards Spider 20. The spiderlings start to become uncivilized. It starts to be able to resist even with positive affinity, which is when you start to realize just how awful Higher Spider actually is. You want to try to get a heal on Syl. The amount that the savagery of the spiderlings on the upper levels of this is nothing short of legendary. It's so great that I'm having to use a very specially structured team to even begin to talk about it. Because, as you can see, the spider does a lot of damage. How much damage are we talking? Legendary amounts of damage. We're doing damage to it, but its health pool, as you can see, is extremely big. To the point where my revivers can't get past it. They're not in tanky enough gear. It's literally gotten to that point. I might have to resort to an ally protect setup. Because once our supports fall apart, that's when the rest of it falls apart too. As you can see. And therein lies the issue with what I have on the higher levels. So we can do this one. I'm going to try Drexthar only setup and swap I'm going to swap for another support on that other one, because at that point you're just going to want to keep Drexthar alive by any means necessary. So that's generally where we're at with that.
Okay, you gonna put this driver's license away in your wallet?
Yes. But yeah, I'm doing spider tournament stuff if you want to see it. This is very advanced spider tournament stuff. I'm just explaining. This is a very advanced spider tournament stuff I can show you. No one else in my clan can fight such spider. This is big deal. See, I'll show you why. I'll even show you the spider I can't defeat. There is a spider, at least I haven't found the combination yet anyway. As the main problem is all of my support champs die before we can get through it. That's the problem. That's literally the problem. And they do not like Syl on this one. They do not. They do not like Syl. And see, that's the other thing. On this difficulty, one of the things that makes it so difficult to burn to death is how much it regens when it sneezes. When it sneezes, it regens a lot. How much we're talking? Like 400,000? It's a lot. Drop its turn meter. Decrease its speed. Okay, it puked. Demetha here on the right is going to put up the Channel the Bloodline. See, as they attack Syl, it gives the burns time to do their work. Each burn does a lot of damage. Now, I didn't win this fusion because I did mess up last night with the Fire Knight. I didn't do quite enough. I did throw in a 20 multi-battle for Fire Knight, but it didn't do anywhere near what I needed it to get the actual Gaius the Gleeful fragments. But I'm still doing Spider regardless because I need to be able to push Spider. Because Spider is the source of all accessories. All the rings, amulets, and banners and stuff. And I need high-level rings, accessories, and banners to get to higher content. And a lot of my better champions are missing really good rings, accessories, and banners. And there's only one way to get them, is through Spider. This one's for Ogren tribes. It's not that great of one. Is this stage 16? I'm going to just go there to stage 17 and then call it a run. Because I have not been able to beat stage 18 yet. I've yet to find a team exactly to beat that. I'm thinking I want to make a Ally Protect team. Maybe with like Taragi or Apothecary, you know, on the side. Just to try to keep the whole thing moving alive. Because the problem is, on that difficulty, the Spider is so incredibly savage. We'll do that next time. Because I just have, it's a real, like, I don't want to be there. Like, I just want to show the Spiders I have been able to defeat, rather than the one that I haven't been able to. Because most of these Spiders are already savage enough, the ones I've shown. The rest of my clan, in fact, most of my accounts, can't even, like, come close. The closest I have is the second account, and even that, they don't have the might to do that. Because it takes a lot of might to defeat a level 200 Spider. Since this one is a bad affinity for Mordecai and Drexthar, Mordecai is going to get focused a fair amount, but he still does the massive area of effect burn, so usually he's worth including. Getting that bloodline. The main use of the bloodline is to try to keep people alive in the setup. That is the main use. It's not like I've given up on Elden Ring. There's still a lot of things I have not managed to do in Elden Ring, and it gives me more results than League of Legends. That's one thing also that people may not understand why I don't really like playing League of Legends at the moment. It's not just that the game is hard, because the game's gotten easier. That's the crazy part. The game's gotten easier for me after playing Elden Ring. But the irony is that the return has become so much more meager on Elden Ring that not Elden Ring, League of Legends, that it doesn't pay dividends for me to play it. So I set the whole spider on fire. The problem with it is it's hard to get those burns to really, for it to just sit still and let the burns tick on it for 50,000 damage a pop. Because that's what you want. You want 50,000 damage a pop. Shove its turn meter back into its skull. But yeah, later I'm going to cover the spiders I can't do. Or at least the spider I can't do. Until I can do that, I can't get to the next affinity. But I already showed it once, but I'm going to tie other teams versus it later. Well, yeah, I'll just end it here, and then we'll go to the other one that I can do, and then the one I can't. Because there is a one I can't, and it's at Spiders 17, I believe. Because my supports die. That's what ends up happening. First my supports die, and then Mordecai and Drexthar are left alone with a ridiculously nasty spider. And that is currently my issue. Because the problem is, you can't leave him alone with this thing at that level unless your gear is uncommonly insane. Because Drexthar can't solo the spider usually for very long after that, unless he has, like I said, uncommonly good gear. Not bad. So, next time we will be continuing through Spider. I still need to get to stage 20 somehow. I have to devise a team.